Hi, it's Mike from Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and on today's video we're taking a look at a build that I've done recently, which costs roughly somewhere in the region of about £800, although as you will all know, by the time this video comes out, those prices will be completely irrelevant and things would have moved on and either gone up or gone down or whatever. But anyway, I'll put links for all the bits and pieces in the video description below so you can check them out for yourself at your leisure. And you never know, you might get a pleasant surprise. So this whole build started off because our good friends over at Saharagaming sent over this case for us to do a review of. So this is the Saharagaming M808W. Fantastic case. Comes in around about £70 at the moment. Again, links will be in the video description. And also, to kind of help set it off a little bit, they also sent over a set of the additional fans to match this. These are the M12X. This is a 3-pack, which comes with obviously 3 interlinking fans. You can use them individually if you want to as well. And those at the moment I think are about £29. There is actually a special offer code which has got a limited lifetime on it. I'll put that in the video description as well, so if you fancy picking up some of these fans, if you like the look of them, then you certainly can do. And obviously if you want to get the case and the fans together, then it's actually a really nice combination. I think it looks absolutely stunning. The fans themselves are very, very, very close resemblance to a certain other manufacturer's fans. And actually, to be fair, they perform very, very well. I was expecting very little out of them because they are basically £10 each, which isn't a lot to pay for a nice RGB fan, but they have a very good response when it comes to the RPM. So as low as around about 200 RPM up to a maximum of 2000 RPM. And the ones which are in the bottom of the case are actually intake fans. So they have the blades mounted in reverse. So they're pulling cool air in and aiming it straight at our graphics card. The other fans which you buy, the M12W, the 3-pack, those are normal fans, so they have the normal rotation and the normal blades set up. So yeah, overall, very impressed. This case is an absolute dream to work in, it really is. Lots of room to get to. The only slight thing I would say after building in it is I would have liked to have been able to remove this side glass panel a little bit easier. It does require a little bit of extra legwork, but really you've got a lot of access here. Lots of access at the top as well. Even with all of this RGB stuff, there is actually still quite a lot of wiring. So we've got 9 fans in here. 9 fans, is it? No, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yes, 9 fans in here. So it is a lot going on, but it's actually cable managed quite nicely. And you'll probably be seeing various B-roll shots of the wiring. It's actually not too bad. And considering it's a white cases are murder for cables, because obviously a white background just reflects light everywhere, so you can see everything that's going on. If they did a black version of this, I think it would be considerably more stealthy. So before we go too much further, let's have a quick rundown through the parts which are used in this particular build. And again, they will be linked in the video description, so if you want to check out current pricing you will, but I'll give you a rough idea of what they cost currently as of the beginning of March 2024. So we'll start off first of all with the processor. So we're looking at a Ryzen 5 7600. This is the non-X version. You can pick these up somewhere in the region of about £180. Plenty of processing speed there. They run actually really nicely, and actually best of all, they run relatively cool as well. So that's always a nice thing to see. All of this is mounted onto the Asrock B650M Pro RS motherboard. I have made a slight modification to this. I've added my own Wi-Fi module. There is actually an M.2 slot which you can do that. If you go for the non-Wi-Fi version, you can pick these up somewhere around about £120. The Wi-Fi version normally adds on £10 to £20, so factor that in, whether you want to use a separate card, USB dongle, or maybe you don't need Wi-Fi at all. Memory is going to be one of those ones which is going to be very much up in the air depending where you're going. We've actually got the Crucial Pro RAM in here. This is the DDR5, 5600 megatransfers per second, and a 32GB kit over 2 16GB modules. They're not the fastest, but at the time of actually buying them, they were very cheap. You can pick them up somewhere around about £80 at the moment, although they have been known to be on sale for around about £60 at their lowest point, which was an absolutely criminal deal. The graphics card is one which is actually somewhat a used bargain. Now, I picked this up from gpused.co.uk. We've had some conversations with Max over there, and there's some bargains to be had there depending on what you're looking for. And also, rather than buying on the second-hand market, at least these do come with somewhat of a warranty and are from a reputable business. This particular version, this is the Gigabyte Eagle. This is the RX6600 8GB card, and this one set me back £140 including postage. Obviously, if you buy a brand new one, you're looking at somewhere around about the £180 to £200 mark, so potentially there is a decent saving there, maybe enough to buy your RAM. To keep the processor cool, we've now got the Kolink Umbra Void. Now this we reviewed on the channel a little while back. This is actually a nice little cooler, and I went with this one specifically because it has the infinity effect fans and the mirror effect on the fan blades, so it kind of ties in really nicely with the rest of the Sahara build. Cooling is absolutely great. The only thing is, I do find with this, with the pump at full speed, there is an audible whine. At least I can pick it up. Perhaps you won't, but for me, it is a little bit on the loud side, although at the moment we've got it running about 60% of its full speed when it's just idling, and it's absolutely fine. Storage tasks are taken care of by a silicon power drive. So this is the P34A60 PCI Express Gen 3x4 drive. You can pick these up relatively easily for around about £50. You don't necessarily need to go for a Gen 4 or Gen 5 drive, although this particular motherboard will support it. Realistically, if you want to pay more, feel free, but this is absolutely fine for our needs. The power supply was another bargain, and I actually picked this up from a good friend of the channel, Dave Aitken, so thanks very much, Dave. This is actually a Seasonic Focus. This is a 650 watt gold edition, and this was actually taken out of a system which they had built, which was no longer needed. It's had very little lifespan, and I picked this up for £50 second hand. So yeah, I'm pretty pleased with that. Obviously, you can substitute that with whatever you like, although power supplies at the moment are pretty expensive. You might want to take a look at something like the GameMax Rampage range. They're always pretty good prices in comparison with the rest of the market. But again, depending where you are and when you're watching this, prices have probably fluctuated, so there might be a better deal available. And last of all really is going back to the case. So like we said, this is the Saharagaming M808W. This you can pick up for about £70, and the extra fan kit, if you want to pick up the extra 3 fans, which actually I've only used one of the extras because you get 4 included. So you get the bottom 3 and also the rear one included. These 2 on the side are the ones which are added, and I've now got a spare fan tucked away should any of them fail. Or potentially you could put it onto a CPU cooler if you don't want to go with water cooling, which actually could also save you some money. This CPU could actually run quite happily with just the stock cooler as a kind of a stopgap until you can find something else, or perhaps maybe pick up something like the new Freezer 36. Those are pretty cheap, about £20, or any of the other budget coolers we've reviewed on the channel previously for a similar sort of money. The PA120 SE is always a good shout. There's lots of things available from the likes of Thermalright, Thermal Take, etc, etc. There's a lot to choose from out there on the market at around about the £20 mark if you do want to go down the air cooling route. And also, like I said, the fans, if you do want to pick up the fans, they're about £30, so looking about £100 for the case and the fans, which I think is pretty much what most people are used to paying these days. Prices with everything are going up and up, and cases seem to be one of those ones which are being hit quite hard. Again, depending where you live, your mileage may vary significantly. Before we shut it down, take a look at the back at the cable management. Talk about some of the temperatures. So this particular processor, again, doesn't get particularly hot. Looking at maximums around about the 60-65 degrees, and it idles quite happily around about 30 to 35 degrees depending what Windows is doing. The graphics card, even under a full load, gets to a hotspot temperature of about 70-71 degrees, and the actual GPU temperature is somewhere around about the kind of mid-50s, which I think is absolutely fine, and that is definitely helped by the updraft fans on the bottom there, keeping the GPU nice and cool. Okay, so with this turned off now, you can probably get a better look inside without the glaring RGB, of which there is a lot of. But yeah, really nice build, lots of room. You could put in a much bigger graphics card if you want to. And don't forget, this is actually a micro ATX case, so it is actually quite compact. So if you want something quite stylish on your desk, but you don't have a lot of room, it's actually a really good choice. Anyway, you can see the glass on there on the side. Again, would have been nice to be able to remove that a little bit easier. And looking at the back here, you can see where we've tucked in all the cables. It's actually pretty tidy considering what we've got crammed in here. 9 fans, a water cooler, all this stuff, a standard full-size power supply, all in a micro ATX case. So the majority of the wiring is tucked in down the back here. Lucky that the actual Saharagaming fans actually have the kind of pass-through connection, so you're actually limiting the amount of wiring. They do come with a controller. I've chosen to actually put the PWM control from the fans actually to the motherboard, just to get a little bit more granular control, so I can switch between the bottom fans and the side ones just to give a little bit of variation, whereas if you use the actual hub here, they're going to be running at the same speed. So potentially you might want to do that. If you can, plug them in there, absolutely fine, no problems at all, and you'll still get the full RPM range through that PWM signal. Power supply fits in here absolutely fine. Again, we've got most of the wires there. There is room for more, you can tuck more things in. I've actually used some of these plastic clips, actually quite a lot of these plastic clips, to tuck wires in. Actually, I quite like these rather than cable ties, because cable ties you have to keep on snipping them and undoing them, whereas with these you can just puck your wires in there and they're absolutely fine. I'll try and find a link on Amazon for those as well. I actually picked them up from a local retail store, but I'll see if I can find some similar ones on Amazon. So if you want to tidy up your build using some of these clips, I strongly suggest it. They're actually very handy. We'll take a quick look at the back there just so you can see what's going on in terms of I/O, so you can get an idea of how it all works. So we've got ATX power supply there, we've got our motherboard I/O, obviously graphics card, etc. I would have liked to have seen the PCI Express plates on here being removable ones. They are actually captive ones, so you kind of got to bend them out. But other than that, I think it's actually a really nice little unit. It's very compact. We've got actually quite a powerful little system in here. I know the 7600 is quite low down the stack in terms of AM5 processors, but actually it will still give some of the higher end ones, such as like the 5800, a really good run for their money if you're coming from an AM4 platform. So anyway, there you go. There is our build. The total price, all in all, is somewhere around the £800 mark, which I know is quite a lot of money, again, still for a micro ATX PC and a relatively modest GPU. But as I keep on saying, and we keep on experiencing, prices are going through the roof. So you've got to try and spend money wisely. This is going to give you a really cracking time. 1080p gaming, even a little bit of 1440p at high refresh rates, depending on the games you're playing. I think this is actually a really good value system, and also it's got the ability to grow. We've got enough cooling power in here, so if you want to upgrade the processor at a later date to something a little bit warmer, it's going to cope with that very easily. And also if you want to upgrade the graphics card at some point for something bigger, got that updraft cooling, which is going to keep your GPU nice and cool, which graphics cards do tend to favor these days, especially if you're looking more on the AMD side. Nvidia isn't so problematic because they're lower power consumption, but even for older cards, this is going to do a great job. So if you're considering building a new system, feel free to have a look at the list of the components that we've used in this particular build and kind of mix and match to see how it suits you. And as always, if you've got any comments or questions on this, or you want any build advice, feel free to head over to our Discord channel. It's completely free of charge to join, and we don't charge for technical support. It's all done free of charge by myself and our members. So if you want to join that, you're more than welcome to. I think that's going to pretty much wrap this one up. Massive shout out and thanks again to Saharagaming for supplying us the case and also the fans. And yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed this video. If you have, smash that like button. If you want to see more content of this on a daily basis, then maybe consider hitting the subscribe button, then the chime notification, and that way you'll be notified of all of our future video releases. But for now, I've been Mike. This is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and hopefully we'll catch you in the very next video. Thanks for watching.